In this video, I'm doing a review of the Win Planner. It has a horizontal weekly spread, but with a different layout than what you've probably already seen for horizontal. This one has a timed layout, but there's no pre-printed times either. You get to choose what times you want. So I thought that was quite different, and hence why I wanted to do a review of the planner. So I do need to mention that I did receive a copy of this planner for free in exchange for doing this review. But if you've seen any of my other planner reviews that I've done for free as well, I say what I think regardless of whether I paid for the planner or not. So let's have a look. The cover, there is two options to choose from. There was a navy blue or this white cover. I have plenty of navy already, so I decided to go for the white. Now normally I will admit I usually avoid white because I do think it might get dirty over time. So not sure how this one will go. It comes in a box that you can put it in when you're not using it because it's undated. You maybe want to, start using it throughout the year. So the planner sits here and then it will just close over like that. They do have this printed here, so you could write some stuff if you want, but I think if you're going to use the planner every day you might not be looking at it, so I'd probably just be inclined to put whatever is important in the actual planner itself, not on the box. But it's something different. I haven't seen a planner come in a box like this before, so different packaging. The dimensions, let's have a look at that. So it is about, I'd say 5.75 inches wide by around about 8.5 inches high, which is pretty typical for a sewn bound planner. This one's not, overly large or small. I'd say it's around about average size. Thickness, it's about, I'd probably go 3/4 of an inch thick, and as you can probably see, nice bright white paper, which looks really good with the white cover. So I cannot stand when sewn bound planners have that yucky yellow paper, so thankfully this one does not. The other thing a little bit different about this one is that it has little pops of colour printing throughout. So it's not full colour printing, but it's not all black and white. It's just this little plain, they're like little logo that appears on some of the pages, has a bit of colour printing, which I quite like because, again, not many sewn bound planners bother with that. They're usually just all plain black and white. So at the front here, just some initial pages. Then we have dates at a glance. So this is the only dated page in the whole planner. The rest of it is undated. So if you are watching this review or you get a copy of this planner after these years have passed, you could always just print out a printable. I'll include a link below to a tutorial on how to resize it, and then you can just use some washi tape and stick it onto the page and then cover that up, and you can still use those pages, or you could just ignore these and forget that they're there and continue on to the next page. Now, an important dates page. I really love these pages. I do my overview, blog planning, goal planning, birthdays, events, that kind of stuff. So I definitely think these are handy, but the functionality of this spread in particular, I have some issues with it. So the occasion section is, I think, too small. You could probably only fit maybe 2 words in this space. I reckon it's about 1 inch wide. And then yet the date section is about 3/4 of that, but it doesn't really make sense to me because at most someone's going to be writing 2 numbers in here, or maybe the day. The proportions I think are wrong. I reckon it would have been better if they just went July the whole way across with just 1 occasion, 1 date, not 2 columns, and then just turned it into a 4-page spread. And I think that would be a much more functional use of space rather than trying to cram everything in here where it's so, I think, impractical that I would probably just print out a printable for important dates and stick it over the top of the page. So this page here I think is a bit out of proportion. Then you go into the section where they give you some tips on how to use it, but I figure you can just pause the video and have a look at that yourself, so I won't go through it all. I will just point out, because you will see these on the weekly spread, what the little icons mean according to them. They're little reminders. You could change the key if you wanted to and use that for something else if you want to, because these are all pre-printed on the weekly spread. At the back of the planner they have these little cutout pages that you could use to mark your place in the planner if you didn't want to use the bookmarks, which I may as well point out now while we're talking about them. They've got important and then week, which has printed on the ribbon. Is one of the first times I've seen a planner do that, so I do really like that option, that little element of it. I think that's quite nice rather than just a plain colour on the ribbon. Then we have some goal pages, so the usual SMART goals. You've probably seen all that before. I don't really think there's a need for a planner to include that within a planner. I think if they're going to talk about that, it could just be a little booklet that comes with the planner rather than having that printed on the page and wasting space. I do really like these nice big open-ended boxes to write your goals in, but as for actual detailed planning, as you can see, that's it. It just goes straight into the month next. This is all you get. So I think a couple more pages of maybe lined notes within the goal section in addition to ones you know, at the back that most planners include, just to break it down a bit more, because I mean, by the time you write the goal and a few things in here, there's not a lot of room to write, so it's just going to make me reach for like another planner or another notebook, and you really ideally want to keep everything in the same one. So again, I think the proportions could be a little bit better for the goal planning section. And then after that, we go into the spreads. So it goes month and then weeks. So it's not clustered together. Some Undated planners will cluster all of the months together, and then after that they'll cluster all of the weeks together at the back. So up to you. I actually prefer when they cluster it together. This one spreads it out. So you've got the 2-page monthly spread, then you have all of the weekly spreads, and then the 2-page monthly spread for the calendar will start again. So I do really like this monthly calendar layout, how the boxes don't fill out the whole page, how you get some like extra sections as well. Love this top 3, this whole section here, really love it because I always do a top 3. I think the proportions of this writing space are good. You've got plenty of room to write your goal out. You've got space for the month and the year. And this is what I was talking about with little bits of colour. You've got a little pink, a little bit of yellow, and then the rest is like neutral for you to use whatever colours you want. Over here, I like this ideas and thoughts section and that it's dot grid. I've noticed more and more planners are now including dot grid writing space rather than line, so I do really like that. I don't really like this sidebar though. I think this books to read section is way too small. This whole column here, this is only about, I reckon, 1 inch wide. So unless you write really, really, really small, you're not going to really fit anything in there. So you might have to get, say, like a sticky note, or use their little cutout pages that they have at the back, and maybe write what books you want to read for that month and then like stick it here, which I think just kind of defeats the purpose of having a books to read section. Like, you know what I mean? I just think anything that you put in there is just too small. Same with lectures to watch. I don't think many people will be doing that anyway. Maybe if they changed it to like TV shows, that would appeal to more people. Because I mean, I personally don't watch lectures, so I think unless you're studying, that's not really going to be applicable. The daily routine section, I think it's a good idea in theory, but I feel like people will just write it down and then never like look at it again. So I think that this whole sidebar could be reworked, maybe just some plain line note space, or you could change the proportions and have like Saturday and then Sunday and then more dot space up the top. So I think this has like a good base that could just be improved a bit on the side. And because it's undated, you can add whatever dates you want. It does start with a Monday week start, but you could easily just change that to Sunday because it is an undated planner. They do have the little shaded boxes for the days, for the dates, sorry, but you could get some date dot stickers as well if you wanted to. One thing that I think is definitely a pro, there are no split boxes. So sometimes planners will split like this box here in half, which I don't see the point, rather than just restarting the numbering on the top row. So you don't have to put up with that. You can create that if you want to, but it's not there already. So you can have one full box for each day, which I think is a lot more practical. Then we go into the weekly spread. Now the pages do lay relatively flat when you turn the notebook over and just break the spine a bit. So you can do this with any sewn bound notebook, and then they'll usually lay more flat. Just sort of needs to be, I guess, a bit worn in. See, and then it's laying more flat. So we have 7 days of the week. Now it doesn't actually have a specific start day chosen for you. So you could choose to start it on a Monday, or you could choose to start it on a Sunday, up to you. Each day of the week has the same amount of space to plan each day. I think my camera is not focusing properly. The lighting's not terribly great today, but hope you can see that. Same template for each day. And this is what I was talking about, how it's a timed layout, but it's not like pre-printed. So it doesn't say, you know, 8 a.m., 9 a.m., you can choose. So if you want it to be 7:15, you wanted to then go, you know, 9:30 is your next task, you can choose to do that. Or you could put the time for each task, maybe like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, etc. Again, with the writing space, I think it's just a little too squished, in my opinion. I think it would benefit from a bit more space for each day. Maybe if they, I don't know, just kept this and then the line extended the whole way along. Or I guess you could try and squeeze 2 lines of text in that. That's probably about, I think, about 8 millimeters. And most planners have about 6 to 7 mil writing space. So this is a little bit bigger with the line spacing than most planners that I've come across. Up the top, they have these random little reminder things, which I personally don't think I would ever really look at, but I mean, they're there if you want to. Just flick so you can see a couple of them. Just really random, like wear something red. I don't think I really need need that. So yeah, I'm not really sure about those. I don't think I'd really ever look at them. We have some quotes at the top right, which are different again for each weekly spread. And then down the bottom here, we have a last week review and then next week goals and focus. I think the idea behind this is good, but I just think practical wise, I don't think it's really necessary, because for next week goals, like next week planning, I'm just going to go straight to the next week. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I need to put anything in there. And then last week review, well, I would probably put it for like this week review, which I'm assuming is their intention. So I don't know, I think I have a very different thought process to the person who made this planner. You could always just repurpose these, put some header stickers over the top and make it some lined note space, or maybe some to-do list, you know, for your goals, whatever you want to do. Because it's undated, I think it's a nice touch that they've added page numbers, and that's on all of the pages, as you can see, the months and the weekly spreads. So if we keep moving on, so we got all of the days of the month. Now they include 31 daily spots for each month. So if you had a month like June where it's only 30, you'll just have an extra box. You could cover it up with some sticky notes or make some note space or whatever you want to do with it. And then they include this section here for the month: major accomplishments, challenges, things I can do better, and who am I grateful to. Probably wouldn't use all of those, but I do think it's nice that they're there. I'd probably just change the titles for some of them. The other thing I noticed about this planner is the line spacing seems to switch a lot. So as you can see, I don't know if it's a printing error because they didn't check it properly or what, but this one here, the line spacing is tiny compared to this one's like big, and then this one switches again. So I don't think they were terribly thorough when they checked this before it got sent to print, because I noticed some of the line spacing is a bit out throughout. We have a tiny dot grid section. I think it would have been great if they just got rid of this and put a giant dot grid note section. I think that would have been great. If you want to include things like this, I say this about every planner that does it, I would put it in a little information like booklet along with the planner. I wouldn't put it in the actual planner printed on the page. People want space to write, and this is taking up way too much space, and it's also really big font size. I just don't think it's terribly necessary. I think put that in a booklet, more note space to plan, that would be a lot better, a lot more functional. So the same thing continues throughout with the monthly and then the weekly spreads, different little, I guess, tip sections or reminders, same with the quotes up the top. And then at the back here, oops, probably should have covered that up, but I'll get to that in a minute. So at the end, okay, I may as well talk about this now. Okay, so I was originally going to cover up this coupon code, and then I thought, no, I'm going to leave it there, because I tried to go onto their website and I couldn't find anywhere where you can actually order it. And then there was a link to Macy's website, and this says it'll work on any platform, but when I went to the Macy's website and added the planner to cart, the coupon code did not work. Couldn't really find the planner on Amazon or anywhere else, so I'm not really sure what's up with that, or they just haven't, maybe they've got like shipping issues and don't have any in stock, so it's not on their website. Not really sure what the go is with that. So maybe they'll see this video and add a comment below with where it's at. Maybe they're out of stock. When I checked, not sure. So here we have a summary of the year section, and this is again what I was talking about with the line spacing. So even just looking at this on this page itself, this is smaller and then this one's larger, so it's not like evenly proportioned. And also this is larger than the line spacing on the weekly spread. See if you can see there, do a comparison. So again, I think just this planner needs to be a bit more thoroughly checked before it goes to print. Every line spacing I personally think should be the same. I won't read out each of these little like sections on the page, I'll just let you read them. Then we go into some dot grid. Always love some dot grid. This is a little different, so it's not perfectly square. So most notebooks will be, say, like 5mm across, and then it'll be 5mm above. This one's actually a little more rectangle, so it's shorter across and then a smidge higher, longer, whatever you're gonna call it, probably like a mil. So it's more of like a rectangle grid, not quite a perfect dot grid. Not sure if that was the intention, but that's how it's ended up. So there's a few of these pages at the back here. You can put whatever you want on there, I guess, like goal planning. Yeah, my camera just really does not want to focus today. It's a bit cloudy, sorry. So hopefully you can see this and see like the dark grey, all the details. At the back here, we have those little cutout papers that I mentioned at the start. So that's how they suggest using them. I don't think something like that is really useful, but that's just me personally. I think things need to be functional. So maybe instead of that really tiny sidebar they have, maybe you could put something on one of these cards and add that to your monthly spread, or use this to do your more detailed goal planning instead, because they do include quite a few of these and they are pretty good sized writing space. So use those for, or you could just do like shopping lists or something functional if you wanted to. I have this section at the back here with some recommended books, and again this is something I think would do better if it was in a little like booklet that accompanies the planner. Again, that coupon code which did not work for me. And then at the very back here we have the usual pocket folder. It's already peeling off the back, so you probably need to get some more glue to tape that down. It's fairly roomy though. And I'll just show you these room bookmarks. Where they say important, and then week, I think maybe another one for the monthly spread would be handy as well. So overall thoughts on this planner, I think the idea behind it is good, but the execution, the functionality, like the size, the line spacing, I think all of that could be improved. I think it's like a good first run, but I really think that it, there's definitely some improvements before they go ahead and reprint it or whatever's going on that they're not currently available. I think that the monthly calendar has a good idea, but again, the proportions are off. The line spacing on the horizontal spread I think is a bit too big, could be a bit smaller. I would include maybe some more pages against the monthly review at the back of each month. Remember how it had that, all those words? Where is it? Sorry, this one here. So I reckon get rid of that and give us some more space to do our monthly review. I think that would be helpful. So I hope you found this review helpful. Bit different to the usual planner that I have a look at. So yeah, let me know if you liked it or not, or if you want to see more reviews like this, and I'll have a look for some more planners that have similar layouts like this with a timed layout, but where you get to choose the times. Don't forget to subscribe. I usually post a couple of review videos each week.